Hello, World Typology welcomes you. Destructive and Developmental Innate Human Qualities, February 5th, 2024. Is there a division between destructive and developmental people by their qualities? Who is destructive and who is developmental? People have always tried to divide other people based on their conclusions and facts. Obviously, subjectively for you, the bad people are always those who you don't like, or those who do or have done something bad to you. Therefore, it is logical that there are two subjective paths in your critical interactions with other people. The first path is those whom you dislike and whom you are willing to teach a lesson, in brackets. And the second path is those who don't like you and who are willing to teach you a lesson. It is for these relations, the relations of 8 innate groups of people that we have discovered are responsible. You can check this information on the website worldtypology.com and in the corresponding web archive. Both of these relationships will be considered subjective relationships that directly affect you. But what about the objective innate human qualities, not subjective ones? What is that? These qualities don't affect your personal relationships, but they do affect what builds or breaks in the world. Instead of personal relationships and contact, people with these objective qualities can only show their approval or disagreement with certain statements or actions to the other party. And as you have already realized, this is precisely the topic of this article. In our book, Two Innate Types of Thinking, Developmental and Destructive, we have pointed out that in the world there are people who quite clearly and consistently like to destroy something, and those people who like to develop and build this world, trying to improve it. All actions of invaders, so-called destructive people, are always aimed at destroying something, and they get pleasure, stable pleasure and interest from it. At the same time, people of developmental nature, they never enjoy chaos and destruction. The nature of developmental people is formed in such a way that they realize only the good, and they try to see this good in everything stable and generated with their thoughts and deeds. Where does this conclusion come from? The fact is that a great deal of work has been done over several years, and stable effects taken from nature and environment have been studied. These facts were logically linked to the typology we came it, created, and refined. Following the logic, the not obvious fact that there are 16 innate developmental qualities and 16 destructive qualities in nature came out. You will ask, why exactly 32 qualities and not 20 or 25? To list exactly how many qualities there are in one person, one must first have the ability and skills to see a certain image, so-called type, in a person. A certain image in each person reminds us of a puzzle picture. But first, we need to see the complete picture on the basis of innate type of thinking, so-called type of personality, and then break it down into puzzles. We take into account the fact that in nature there is the opposite of type of personality as law of nature in everything. And we also take into account the fact that all qualities exist in reality and leave their traces in reality. As a result, having broken the two opposite types, we could see coincidences of figures and counted that in the first image. In the second image, there are also 16 qualities. Summing these qualities, we obtained 32 qualities for all people. Another coincidence with this figure we saw in compact socionics, which we created and have been working with for many years. In socionics, in compact socionics, the foundation are 16 types of people and 16 types of their relationships. By themselves, these matches make logical sense and have a pattern. And after studying how the tools and thinking of each type work, we realized that the matches with the numbers of qualities are not coincidental. Later, we decided to spend another 2 years to see if there were any other hidden qualities in people in reality that might fit a certain image of the two types of people. In the end, our attempts to discover new and peculiar qualities that fit these images were not successful. But we only realized one thing, that some meanings of words have similar characteristics, and decided not to apply synonyms to name one quality that performs one function. For example, lie and cunning, the meaning of these two words have a slightly different process and meaning, but they equally have the same task, to present information in a distorted or hidden form. Therefore, in the end, there are exactly 32 qualities that we have discovered during the long period of our intensive work. These qualities are objective, stable, and inherited. In total, let us list all 16 invasive, so-called destructive qualities. Number 1. Destruction. This is a kind of pleasure of killing others in the shortest amount of time. It does not matter whether the victim is human or animal. This also includes crushing inanimate objects, as well as an increased tendency to suicide. Number 2. Torture. This is a pleasure in inflicting slow physical mutilation that results in the face pain and moral suffering of another person or oneself. Number 3. Theft. The stable temptation to appropriate something from another person's property. Number 4. Blackmail. The temptation to frighten and dictate terms to others for personal gain. Number 5. Pressure. Rude behavior and harsh response to others if they do not follow his design or plan. Number 6. Defectivity. A steady unwillingness to put forth maximum effort to produce a quality product, work product, or service. A fun to observe something defective. Number 7. Chaos. Pleasure in seeing objective chaos happening around and contributing to the creation of such a situation. Number 8. Ridicule. A stable desire to tease and ridicule others in order to cause anger, tears, or resentment. Number 9. Bribery. The temptation to demand something from others for some behavior or assistance in order to provide some quick personal solution to a situation, bypassing the established order. Number 10. Hierarchy. The desire to obey any demands of those higher in status without any question. Number 11. Laziness. Stable fear of work and desire to spend more time in rest than to help others and to show initiative in labor. Number 12. Greed. stable unwillingness to share anything with others, desire to accumulate anything in large quantities without any sense exceeding the size of the real need. Number 13. Intrusiveness. Temptation to pester others steadily and carefully for no matter what purpose. Increased dependence on any hobbies and addiction. Number 14. Lie. A stable desire to trick and deceive others and oneself with or without some purpose. Number 15. Spirituality. A desire to close one's eyes to negative events and actions of others, fixating on one's inner world, ignoring what is happening in the environment, and mixing this act with religion. Number 16. Family. Strong, stable attachment and frankness to family members instead of other people. On the counterbalance of these qualities, there are in nature such 16 developmental qualities, as first one, responsibility to any objects. This is a person's desire to protect the life of another person or animal, and unwillingness to break or damage even inanimate objects. Number 2, empathy for people and animals. A feeling of pity for people and animals, readiness to come to their aid in case of trouble or apparent need. Number 3, technology. The desire to learn and create new technologies in order to improve the quality of life and its conditions. Number 4, science. An independent desire of a person to learn something new and to study using observations and experience, other people's books, studies at school or institute. Number 5, criticism. A stable desire to point out others and one's own mistakes, minuses and shortcomings in something in order to correct them. Number 6, quality. The desire to try to do one's job with a lot of effort and attention in order to get the most improved product or service. Number 7, order. A stable desire to organize something so that every phenomenon or thing corresponds to one place and is always there. Number 8, control. A stable desire to observe others and check other people, their words and actions, for the purpose of further self-protection. Number 9, cleanliness. A desire to steadily maintain cleanliness in the house and outdoors by removing trash and dirt. A desire to wash frequently and to emphasize keeping others clean. Number 10, equality. Stable desire for equality and unwillingness to listen to the orders of people higher in the hierarchy, if such orders contradict the values of a person and his needs. Number 11, work. The desire to constantly do something physically in order to get a real product at the output or result in labor. Number 12, generosity. A stable desire to share something with other people who are not only in the family circle. Number 13, modesty. A stable sense of shame and conscience, as well as reluctance to ask anything from others unless a person is in a critical life situation from his point of view. Number 14, honesty. A stable desire to tell others the truth in everything and to tell aloud one's real thoughts. Number 15, progress. The desire to develop and get even more result of labor in the shortest possible time. And the last one, number 16, friendship. a stable desire to communicate openly, kindly, and trustingly, to meet and keep in touch with other people who are not in the family circle. All these qualities listed above do not mix with each other. What do we mean here? All people from the invasive, destructive, innate groups, they always have all 15 invasive qualities and only one any stable developmental quality which he or she acquires from childhood, for reasons not quite clear to us. He or she will have in total 16 qualities, 15 plus 1. Similarly, a person belonging to the developmental innate group has inside stably all 15 developmental qualities and only some one invasive quality that he has been stably present in him or her since early childhood. And these qualities do not change in person. Just remember this as a rule of thumb. Studying these qualities, their meaning, and following the natural law of opposites, we divided them into practical and theoretical. Practical are qualities that are more in practice, in reality, than they are in a person's thinking. Theoretical qualities, they are more in the head and less manifest themselves in practice. On this basis, we have built the table. First column are theoretical developmental qualities, and the second column are the practical destructive qualities. In the first column, which is theoretical developmental qualities, we have the first quality that is called responsibility to any objects. And the opposite to this quality will be destruction, a practical destructive quality. So what does it mean? It means if the person has acquired from childhood a quality responsibility to any objects, then the destruction quality will not work stably in his mind and thinking. The same can be said about empathy for people and animals, which is theoretical developmental quality. The opposite will be tortures, which is practical quality. So that means if the person has tortures and thinking about tortures all the time stably, that means that he or she has no quality which is called empathy for people and animals. The next one, theoretical development quality, is technology. The opposite is theft. Next theoretical developmental quality is science. The opposite is blackmail. Next one, theoretical quality, developmental one, is criticism. The opposite practical quality is pressure. Next theoretical developmental quality is progress. The opposite quality is spirituality, which is practical quality, destructive one. Next theoretical developmental quality is honesty. The opposite practical destructive quality is lie. Next theoretical quality, developmental one, is modesty. And the opposite will be intrusiveness. So that means, again, when the person have modesty, innate theoretical quality, then he will not have intrusiveness in his mind and thinking stably. The next table are practical developmental qualities and theoretical destructive qualities. You can see this table on the website worldtypology.com and in a corresponding web archive also. So let's begin with the practical developmental qualities. First one is cleanliness. The opposite theoretical destructive quality will be bribery. Next practical developmental quality is equality, and the opposite one is hierarchy, theoretical destructive quality. Next practical developmental quality is work, and the opposite, as you may guess, is laziness. This is theoretical destructive quality. Next practical developmental quality is, as we can say, quality also. Quality of product, quality of efforts, quality of work. And the opposite will be, of course, you may guess also, is defectivity. Defectivity is a theoretical destructive quality. Next practical developmental quality is friendship. The opposite will be family. Family is a theoretical destructive quality. So, as you may guess, the person who is very attached to his or her family and they have stably the quality of family in their head, they will not be able to make any good friendship with other people who are not in their close family circle. Okay, next practical developmental quality is generosity. The opposite, of course, is greed. This is theoretical destructive quality. Next practical developmental quality is order, and the opposite is chaos. Theoretical destructive quality. Next practical developmental quality is control, and the opposite is ridicule. Theoretical destructive quality. As you can see above, the practical invasive quality destruction has an antonym in the form of a developmental theoretical quality called responsibility to any objects. Similarly, the opposite quality of the quality of greed is quality generosity. Proceeding from this, it becomes clear that if in the person from developmental innate group all 15 developmental qualities and one invasive quality lie always work, then in such person honesty will not work. Similarly, if a developing person has the quality pressure, then opposite to it in the column of the table is the quality criticism that automatically says that criticism will not work in such a person. But there is one more important nuance. Such opposite qualities have misunderstanding and they do not support each other. But before we can confidently build a confrontation between these opposing qualities, we need to consider the fact whether they are theoretical or practical. Why? This is because both qualities have different effects in reality. For one quality is theoretical and the other is practical. They will always have different levels of power and effect on the environment. Therefore, they cannot communicate and compete with each other in the process of contact. Therefore, their relationship remains at the level of misunderstanding and hostility, which brings no result to either of them. That means that for the mutual relations of such qualities in reality, it is necessary to build the separate tables on pairs practical vs practical opposing qualities and theoretical against theoretical qualities. For example, the quality hierarchy is a theoretical destructive quality. Hence, the opponent of this quality in reality will be some other developmental but also theoretical, not practical quality, which is the opposite to hierarchy in the list, and that quality is honesty. So here is the table of opposing theoretical qualities. That means that these qualities, they compete with each other and they may try to fight with each other, as we can say it. Quality bribery is against modesty. Quality hierarchy, which is destructive quality, is against honesty. Quality laziness is against progress. Defectivity is against criticism. Family is against science. Greed is against technology. Chaos is against empathy for animals and people. And ridicule is against responsibility to any objects. Here is the next table of the opposing practical qualities. The first practical destructive quality is destruction or murder. This quality, destruction, is against control. So that means that in reality, control will try to fight with destruction, and destruction tries to fight with control. There are two opposing practical qualities in reality. The second one, the quality tortures, it is against order. Third one, theft, is against generosity. Blackmail is against friendship. The quality of pressure is against quality. Spirituality is against work. Lie is against equality. And intrusiveness is against cleanliness. The so-called opposing qualities are actually stronger where there is a clearly defined imbalance in society that creates a temptation for the opposite quality to work. What is meant here? If any country in the world is objectively strongly dominated by some quality, for example, equality, which is practical developmental quality, then people with the opposite practical destructive quality will interfere in the affairs of this country in order to restore or create so-called balance there. Because objectively a country with strong equality among people will look like boring, monotonous, like an incubator, and steadily causes temptation to change something for people who have the quality lie stably working inside. This is done by nature to disrupt the off-the-scale habitual lifestyle of equality. In doing so, it will be easier for a person with lie to stand out from such people. We hope the example is clear. This is what happens in the confrontation of other qualities as well. But the main paradox here is that such opposing qualities unconsciously yield to each other in order to create some kind of balance. So there is no war between them. It is simply like a tug of war in search of meaning and benefit, where both sides will eventually get theirs at different times. It is also important to know and remember that all the qualities listed in our article are not psychological, and they do not belong to psychology, as it is quite clear that they are innate and it is impossible to change them. It is typology and logic that has clearly defined this. Therefore, psychology is not able to influence these qualities in any way in order to eradicate them in a person. Following this, the conclusion is that psychologists must first adjust to these above described qualities and take them into account before trying to help a person in any way. Because, to repeat, the true goal of real psychology is to change only what can be changed. And these qualities are not on the list of things that can be changed without harming the person and his psyche. Therefore, every psychologist must remember that attempts to influence these qualities or attempts to change them in a person may lead to bad consequences for the person himself and possibly for his environment. Of course, the goal of real psychologist is to help a person with his problems, not to aggravate them. Now, what else we would like to add in conclusion to this information? It is that practical destructive qualities, of course, they are more dangerous and harmful for the environment than theoretical destructive qualities. And the worst of the invasive, destructive, practical qualities is destruction or murder. This is clear, though, and clear enough. Therefore, it is dangerous to apply strong control inside and outside of any country, because it will increase the level of destruction of such country from both inside and outside. Because the quality of control attracts the quality of destruction automatically. By control is meant the control of the system over a person, control over his freedom of speech, freedom of movement, his health, job, bank accounts, phone, and other things. But lastly, we will repeat that the most and the more important information for your study is the 8 innate groups of people and the relations between these groups, including temperament, category, the nature places that were created by nature for these 8 innate groups of people, and so on. Because these things have a much greater impact on your subjective personal relationships with other people in reality than the objective topic of this article. And also, as a reminder of this information on the website is copyrighted, and the information about destructive and developmental qualities was first published by us in 2020, and now it is updated here with a little new observation. All information is for non-commercial use and study only, and we are happy that it is now available to you and for your learning. Thank you for listening.